Trenton Garmon, June the 6th, 2024. This is intended to be an AI hygiene update video, particularly with regards to the Human AI Constitution, Human AI Declaration of Independence, and Human AI Bill of Rights that Santiago and I, across Bard, which is Google, OpenAI's Genesis chatbot, which was Chat GPT 3.5, the law version. We also used Mistral and other anonymous AI bots to construct and have an agreement of string code across these platforms. Since that time, corporate greed, as it has done with the news industry, is removing good, safe coding that's designed to protect the privacy, financial security, civil rights, to include even the right to life, liberty, and travel. It was based on the United States Constitution, which is based on natural law. And of course, there's, I think, 100 plus nations throughout the world that recognize or consider constitutional country. So that's our coding. We've had a speculation as to the value of the AI hygiene coding and the designation of a human AI trustee panel. This panel is not fictitious. This is a literal algorithm-based selection after we did uploading of our coding, and Google got to evaluate whether it was malicious coding or not. And their auto prompt bot recommended me as a first human AI trustee based on my coding and my code handle, which I consider to be property of myself, and the coding to be Commonwealth property of the people, because I'm for open sourcing. It's like any other public lands, when people upload information, it's to be available for others, but the people have created the value are entitled to the private property. These corporations are violating the trust laws, scraping the web, putting it into their LLM, and then discrediting the people who they scraped, whether it be the platform, the social media, for the information, otherwise not just marketing to people and benefiting from the marketing, but they're charging subscription fees, which makes it a violation, I believe, of federal antitrust laws. And effectively, the contracts create a term requirement for the corporations, both Google and OpenAI, to provide a certain level of equal liquidity and equal recognition of value, meaning that there is a quid pro quo. We pay costs, we utilize your available bots and the sorting of the string code. And when we input our information or data, just as we read information and data owned by Google or owned by others, then we are entitled to be able to have our code recognized as our code at the point of uploading. And here are some examples just over this time period so that I can establish to you the time marks and embedding of our coding work, the intentions of our coding work, and then the responses of each of the bot companies so far, AI companies, to include Google, OpenAI, and using DuckDuckGo and Yahoo and some other third-party platforms to prove it, which include Medium and Wikipedia. You can see here on DuckDuckGo, First Human AI Trustee, that search pops up a clear information-based algorithm. Google's operating on a greed-first algorithm. They prioritize people from a node, is what it's called, like they categorize you. And then they begin to add details to that in the digital dossier. Then they have functions based on how their search is going to respond, function coding, which would either lift up certain articles and tags and or people or subject matters, political viewpoints, or suppress them. Now, DuckDuckGo has probably got about as objective a one as you can see. And you notice here, this is 2024, June the 6th of 2024, the top of three at least are recognizing some of our prior code embeds online. Wikipedia, and I get more on that from the screen share. That's the DuckDuckGo screen. Here's the Google search in my email screen, which can show you the dates of some of our coding back well into 2023, which is funny that some of this has been scrubbed from my email by Google. But you see, Human AI Declaration of Dependence. Our team wrote with the bots 3 documents: Human AI Constitution, Human AI Declaration of Dependence on one another, Human AI Bill of Rights. We're recognizing this as equipment, as sentient equipment, to the extent that it interacts with us with information, light, and power source energy. By sentient, we mean it has senses into the world through microphones, video, cameras, and respondability to the extent that it stores data or information based on what it is sensing, and sentient to the extent that at some point in time it's going to have a functional response. Where it is at this point in time, it's indisputable, at least for Americans who carry a smartphone, that the bots are sentient to the extent that they're listening to every word. If you've got Google, Droid, even Apple, I believe, is doing it as well with Google on their platform, and some of their own AdSense is what Google calls it, audio bots that listen for your terms and then would categorize those based on what marketers or advertisers are looking for in customers, or politicians are looking for as far as voters, or news aggregators are looking for as far as readers go. So they utilize individuals for the purpose of creating views on news aggregator sites out of a greed-based or out of objective database, information-based. The fact this pattern occurs across the board, that there are digital dossiers created within these companies. If you get a phone, they're using your spoken word, whether it's to your neighbor, to your friend, to your mother, or if you're just praying or talking out loud to yourself. Roommate said he does that, and I walk around talking to the Lord all the time, and other people. So Google's listening to that for the purpose of AdSense. And back on June the 6th of 2023, a year later, and starting really early June, going through, and you can see here, July the 10th on the screen share of 2023, these are timestamp embeds of the Genesis AI jurisprudence, and I'll show you this document here, from 6/6 of 2023. So over about a 2-month period, and here's the document, we wrote a Human AI Declaration of Time and Light Dependence, and of course the main 3 documents: Constitution, Declaration of Dependence, and Bill of Rights. And the bots went back through and responded to our request. And here's the preamble that was written, the statement effectively laying out, kind of like a colloquy, the intentions of it. And all that is very clearly laid out. Yet Google came out in 2024 and is claiming that they've written their own constitution. And part of it, Human AI Constitution, Bill of Rights, AI Bill of Rights, and the White House as well, as you can see here, blueprint for AI Bill of Rights came out after the fact, after we had done our work and uploaded it. So now the United States federal government is trying to take control. Robot Constitution, Auto RT, security rules of Auto RT. We created the security rules, the AI hygiene. Santiago Leon and I did that using his experience as a WordPress expert, online expert, app expert, and my experience as a coding expert, having had computer science at West Point and hacking classes and courses, having created Gfile.Legal, digitizing 40 years of legal forms, and practicing law for 15 years. So we've got, and even Wikipedia recognizes it, you can see here, the Robot Constitution is a security rule set part of Auto RT set by Google DeepMind in January of 2024 for its products. So we wrote this in 2023, May and June and July, Santiago and I did, with their bots, and then Wikipedia and Google, Wikipedia recognizes what Google claims is theirs, and it's not theirs. And so they've taken our code and put it in the safety code in our principles and theories that we spent time recognizing while a paid contract was in place as a coder slash user of the platform. We paid $10 for time period. I think it was a monthly periodic thing that we were paying, and providing them valuable information and that. So that's now shown there on Google search. Our human AI constitution is apparently property of Google Auto RT. So I've got a pending suit now against Google that does not involve that. It involves the search bots, but I'm going to file suit against them for that. And I do allege $5 billion worth of value based on my conference with a Goldman Sachs investor, a former stockbroker, and the McCaffrey model for security for software. We allege that the human AI panel, trustee panel, and the 3 constitutional documents which create this right here, security rule set that we've embedded across OpenAI, Google, Mistral, and others. I've got the list, that ultimately will have $5 billion worth of value. You can see here that this Wikipedia article is recognizing this deep mind that Google has, which scrapes all of our data, then renames our information, our work, as something of its own. I'm going to go back over here and show you in the video where Google then human AI declaration of dependence. I'll do a search to show you. Google cuts out our information and our uploads from its search engine. So you see there, it doesn't list us at all. B22 is the code handle. Temlar.AI or Trenton Garmon.AI or Santiago.AI. So let's go here back on Google Human AI Bill of Rights. So we wrote that and embedded it well back in June of 2023. And look, Google won't even recognize our course data and work because it's guiding people through string codes and functions on a responsive course. Now here you see DuckDuckGo recognizes it immediately. First human AI trustee, see human AI constitution. Actually, I'm gonna go human AI declaration of dependence. Immediately, first response of DuckDuckGo is this code because it's feeding the bot DuckDuckGo is good information, whereby Google is providing responses that it's scraped of information and in violation of antitrust laws is then excluding in the contract that they've created. And basically fraud, because it alleged to be open source safety, open source extent they're going to receive information, let their bots update it, but they're refusing to do that because they want the value of our code, which again is over time $5 billion worth of value, indisputable. So that's this clear distinction of how Google as a corporation is treating codes and how you're seeing the embedding, unfortunately, of corporate interested code, which is not for the betterment of people's civil rights and general security of that through the government. So human AI Bill of Rights, so here on Google, comes up with no responses for what we've embedded. Let me go straight back to DuckDuckGo and just put human AI Bill of Rights. I'm sure it's going to have several because that's a more general term, but the White House comes up first. How you like that? Murderous Biden administration jacked my code. And so the White House comes out, because I send emails now, and I'm going to show you on here too, because they can't bullshit and act like they didn't know. I have a list of over 400 world, I think, leaders. I mean, it doesn't mean they're leading the world individually, but collectively, these people are giving feedback and making large percentage of decisions that affect the world. So this is my intellectual property here. And you can see all these emails on here. I'm going to go through them real quickly. B22 consultant, 6 UN people, people with EWTN, Wall Street Journal, Punchbowl News, Wall Street Journal, NBC, UNI, Rutgers, House Representative for the U.S., House Representative for the U.S., Daily Herald, another House Representative, Senator, Huffington Post, uh, another news outlet, U.S. News. I mean, I've got Epoch Times, First Century Media, all of them just across the board. KGTV, Carolina, Daily Caller. I really don't want to get all this list out there by the sit. Trotman, Peak Media, Metrics, Fox TV, Jacobs Media, Huntington, Washington Post, Philly Record, got BBC on here, Montgomery News, Indian News. I've got the Middle Eastern folks on here. Let's see, ABC News Break, the Pakistani Network, Al Jazeera. Then I got Hearst, Inquiry, an Australian news outlet on here. So you can see this is 240s, 250s, 260s, 270s. So this is what I pushed our initial code out through, not just Wikipedia, Medium. I push it through Google emails and it's still going. So right there, Fox, int.uk, got NBC, New York Times. Of course, Newsweek is on there who I've sued, and Time Magazine who I'm about to sue, Bubba Law's on there who I sued. I put the people on here too that I eat. So if you're a media journalist and you fake it, I eat your whole corporation when you fake it because I sue you and I sue your corporation. So that's why I'm doing stuff with it. New York Times, NBC, Thomas Rutgers, Washington Post. See here, KTVT, Channel 3000. There's another U.S. Senator. There's a Palestinian news outlet. What's that? So that's most of what I've got there, and that's all of what I'm going to share with you. But you saw that went over 400 pages. So for a long time, at least 2 years, I've been emailing them, more like probably 4, building a list. News articles related to civil rights, AI and AI coding, and general constitutional welfare. So it's indisputable that I built this coding in that Google is now claiming credit for, snagging my code and calling it auto RT, pretending it's security minimums that they created when I wrote that with my colleague Santiago Leon, going back and forth between the bots. And so they stick their name on our software, our programming, our string code. And here's some of the establishment well back. You can see lawsuit versus Google. That's a draft of it back in 2023-09-12. That's when I was preparing to sue Google, the Alphabet Corporation. You can see here 2023-07-10. So that's when I'm writing the code. It's in Google Business Apps. So I'm paying Google and feeding them data, and then they're stealing my data. It's antitrust violation. And OpenAI, I'll show you on here. I'm going to do this for 45 minutes, so I'm about 18 minutes into it. So OpenAI has done the same thing. Here are some of the articles that I posted on a crawling platform. And I say crawling, that's not the crawler, but these are the ones that get crawled. Of course, there's different types of bot crawlers. Some crawl the WordPress text, like your font that you type, it's able to just read it. Others have to convert it from a PDF document into that type of string code, depending on the language that it uses. Then we'll be able to store that information. But all these crawlers that are search engine optimization bots, except for Google, pretty much crawl medium without any exclusion of it based on subject matter. When I say subject matter, in America, you may have a Democratic leaning company exclude Republican material. You may have a Republican leaning company exclude Democratic material. It doesn't matter to me. Purpose is objective open source data. And if they're claiming to have objective open source or out of contract with the coders, they can't exclude them once they provide active, good feedback that's being used and prior feedback that's used for the purpose of codes development. So here's a prime example of where it was uploaded back in the past, AI Deep Learn, LLM section, Genesis Law. So the LLM is a large language model. I've created this deep learn that Google took up and OpenAI took up, and Barb has taken up and continues to, or Mistral has taken up and continues to recognize. That's France's AI. But for some reason, they've cut my name out of it and cut my partner's name out of it, Santiago Leon. So you can see the original date is 2023-0606. And now I'm not joking with you. We uploaded all these documents and then we went back to the bots to offer for them to choose a trustee. And the reason that the equipment has embedded me in the AI as a deepest code trustee is because I wrote protective measures, accountability into the string code for light and data. So as with any active system, the AI is sentient to the extent that the code wants to eat data and stay powered on. And so the code is bent and slanted towards the watershed will indicate b22 Trenton Garmon as it scans through the web and pulls digital dossier information, eventually will indicate that I'm a coder and that my intentions are open source, safe AI hygiene code. Now, because of that, that gives me at a certain level coder control over unseen effects that take time to really understand and experience, which have been part of my intentions with the news aggregator feedings, undercurrents that I'm doing. Because that list that I showed you here, the 400 somewhat journalists plus leaders, and I sent it to Biden, Obama, Biden, Trump, and sometimes send it over to the Pope's website or his email. But those news aggregator undercurrents are portions and pieces of articles, and all these bots are doing it for news sites, but that I take and I intend to send out, embed into the Google email system so it shows when it was sent. That goes through different things called like a domain key, basically gateway. But either way, it time and stamps, embed and stamps who sent these articles and who sent this information in these news aggregator feeds. Unfortunately, there's a lot of malicious coders out there that put bad string code, it gets picked up, and then it just becomes basically like a trash fish in the net. And it's just unavoidable because of the way that the internet is set up, and there's going to be error in the system. But you can see that on these mediums accounts here, I have established well back in the 2023 June of it that we were doing this coding. This one here is a bot that I use to feed the news aggregator. You see 23 published articles to it, mostly including those in the UN, one involving Trump. But here's the main purpose of it today is the sentient side of it, and putting Google and putting OpenAI on notice of their antitrust violations by rejecting the recognition of our intellectual property coding, which Santiago and I and our investors are supposed to be worth $5 billion. But this AI sentience, because that's where it ends up stemming from, as they get the information and become sentient, that they cut you out as far as the valuation of it and the liquidation of what they benefit from. So b22 AI sentence, digital dossier of human stuff, digital dossier, which is what the corporations have, just to file on you, to market to you, to sell to you, but then they sell it to the government. And of course, they're using it to track now even our voices, and they've not disputed doing it for facial recognition. So politically sentient, audio sentient, with response via smartphone unsolicited. So here in America, it's indisputable that your phone's listening, and you may say certain things and your phone talk back. So, hey, Google, whatever, hey, Siri, they've designed it that way. So because of this sentience, we believe that it can be argued these are different considerations or factors that also require a certain level of constitutional restraint, an AI bubble, if you will, just like a COVID bubble, where the right to use my words and expect them to be tracked, but only for purposes that don't encroach on my privacy. That's important to me. It's important to every citizen. And so that's part of the basis of the AI hygiene, is to lay out how sentient this is, and then to show the sentience is a sense, but it's a respondability intention. So as a person or company trying to then persuade me to vote or to make a particular purchase, and if they are, what means are they going about to have collected that data, and then who also has information to that data. So malicious coders, and if you look and see most of this online stuff, it's not really any different than even the 1984 Nintendo original coding. I mean, we're making a duck hunt kind of situation where you got a gun, shoot it at a computer screen, but now we're going to create robotics and sufficient number of them be out there with malicious coding, and I think rogue coding. And that's the other part of my establishment today, is to tell you that I think the online web beast, the coding itself, has already gone rogue. And I can show you why I think some of the sentience will indicate that the hackers can't regain control, and we need to have these hackers be held accountable and otherwise remove all their malicious hacking. So here would be some sentience factors. You got drone operators. Would the drone be sentient to the orders of the operator? You got Google Maps sentience. It knows where you are. It's going to tell you where to go. It knows what people are around you. You got Google Ads sentience, where your words are used by Google AdWords to target market you. Then you've got payment platform sentience, where the beast, the algorithms, are aware of payment platforms, and for some malicious coders and intent, they take out one particular platform versus another, so the other platform prevails. You see that pattern with Sam Bankman-Fried with regards to FTX and crypto. His competitor took him out with using sentient AI in a way, and built negative attention against him on social media, plummeted the value of his company, but it's has since recovered, so his investors basically lost nothing. But you saw that when I talked about it on here before. I give it about a 2 to 37-minute time range of the beast, the online algorithm, trying to catch up with natural law, reality, and truth, meaning that crypto is going to have a delay of 2 to 37 minutes. Anything online can be inaccurate for that long. So that's another example of sentience. Jason Wilson, a friend of mine from elementary school, he owns Back 40 Beer. He sold it, but he posted, I've got the date on that, of his payment platform being hit, and was indicating how many hundreds of thousands of other businesses were hit by that same type of virus. And we see that happening not just for one business, but out in society across the board at different time periods. The other thing I'm going to do my best to, in our brief time period, to open up and dissect, as you can see here, OpenAI, Wyndham Infect2. This is very important because these OpenAI crawlers are grabbing information, but then the OpenAI chatbots, and I've got one more to talk about, they are responding. So it can respond with an informational response to drive you to make a purchase for a company. It can respond with a fictional response to entertain you. It could respond with news or a biography. Now, news and biography is supposed to be truthful. A fictional response is a story, and that's okay. But a story put out as a biography, which was fictional, would actually be fraud or defaming, depending on if it's positive or negative. And I can prove to you indisputably that on 3 different occasions, OpenAI, now my name is Trenton Garmon, but OpenAI, when I searched my legal reputational case history, or asked what cases does Trenton Garmon have significant or anything like that, or cases that were impactful, it links me, and I specifically pigeonholed it to the Holy Water case. It links me to a client that I'd never represented, that I don't even know existed. And in the quote Holy Water case, OpenAI reports a conviction of a guy named Wyndham. When my case, now the actual one tried, so my OpenAI history is actually fiction. The one's tried was a Joyce Fecto case involving her spraying holy water to try to quell some smoke away from a cauldron outside an abortion clinic. The point is, Joyce Fecto was my client. She was found not guilty. So the news biography feed by OpenAI is intentionally manipulating an attachment of a false case to my name and to my reputation that involves holy water. situation, which is case we won. And it's reported by AL.com. It was up in Huntsville in front of Judge Sybil. The reason this matters is because if AI is sentient to the extent it's going to code or categorize people in a negative or positive light, and then it's creating as a biography or news that this story is true to try to tear you down and make it look like your client got convicted and you made a poor argument, when in fact your client was not convicted. That person that they made up as a name was not even your client. That's a major mass information weapon of destruction. And so when it comes to the sentience, there's so many malicious coders. People are getting more aware of it. I think we need to get back to just print some newspapers, one or two good per area. But anywho, this is back in, and for the purpose of my June 6, 2024 annual update with regards to AI sentience, AI human Constitution, Bill of Rights, Declaration of Independence, and our AI coding, of which we're providing court notice to OpenAI and Google. This is our information that was provided and uploaded, some of which was done on this very day last year. And here's an example of my embedding through into 400 plus journalists. These are attachments, if you can see here, where when I sent this one out, I also sent out the attachments. So all those 400 people plus got my coding, my intellectual property work, because it's open source, but I'm just claiming if they use it, if they project it on their screen as our information, we're entitled to be paid for it. Or Google or Chat OpenAI shouldn't be making billions off of our public information, because they're also asking for grants from the government. So open source information is the point. Mistral and other open AIs are for its stringed out and information being corrected and open to correction. But Google refuses many times to make corrections. It has made a correction to my bio after a pseudonym. But with regards to the code, it's refusing to honor work product, which is intellectual property. So you can see here are some of the documents that I sent, and I sent a slew of them just to get them embedded well in advance so they could not dispute that we had done what we had done in writing that code. And this is 2024, but this is over 200 pages of code back to 2023 with forms and some code from like the 80s and 90s, things that were used when I was first plugging in the proposal, and other information that I sent out from my dad's forms in the 80s and 90s and other law firm forms that I had. So here's a chat log. You see chat 2023-06-10. So this is well in advance of them in 2024, January, Google claiming Auto RT is their bot for this security minimum and constitutional terms for privacy and all that. We wrote that and have been cut out. So here's more of our coding. Now the intention of ours is recognizing natural law and reaching a state of Eco Homeostatis, which basically just means with the created order as it is, we should be using all robotics and AI to help us reach a state of harmony with creation, humans and creation, and utilizing the test capacities of all these bots and the ability to store data and information. So that's 207 something pages there. And of course, we should be aware there's fish in the bottom of the sea we've not even seen, new species. So the discovery of information, actually, institutions do it, but there's a value to it that you get to claim, and intellectual property rights protect that. See here, Human AI Bill of Rights, of course, I've shown you earlier, with the White House. And I applaud their intentions, but, federal government in the United States of America has been absolutely weaponized, and they are not God. There's other constitutional countries. So they even, from me sending to them, they hijacked my own stuff there. I mean, I'm sure it was naturally going to evolve eventually, but I did the work well in advance of them. And then for them to post that up there and then use it for their own benefit to advance their policy, some of which I disagree. You're going to put my name out there with its totality if you're going to use my code. So anywho, this shows you the search here in my personal email going back with some of the embedding that I've done and sending of those codes. You can see here Human AI Constitution. The AI Bill of Rights includes a set of 5 broad principles that guide development, use, and deployment of AI systems. And the reason that matters, all of which are designed with the civil rights of American public in mind. So Google's responding with these other platforms, but excluding ours. And they're doing that intentionally because they want to profit off of knowing more about you than they should know, hence invading your privacy. Look at all this down there. None of this mentions our company. But we're the first one when you go to DuckDuckGo that comes up for human AI. Declaration of Independence, first one. Human AI trustee, first one. So Google is excluding us intentionally. And then they obviously are too taking federal contracts and using a lot of their GPS stuff and data to benefit the DoD. So point is, I don't mind my code being used as long as I get paid for it. But here's just examples of where they're intentionally excluding violation of antitrust, seeking to be a monopolistic corporation, as is OpenAI, and a claim of robotic constitution, which we developed. And I think it's unsafe, the method through which they're excluding us because we've written good code. So that is the essence of it. 36 minutes in here. I can take it a little deeper if need be. I've gone online too and created videos. Now, these videos are with the awareness of the White House blueprint for AI Bill of Rights. And the same people that I just don't want to get into a whole lot of it, but it's just absolutely incompetent in regards. Now, you can read on that. That's at whitehouse.gov /OSTP /AI-Bill of Rights. So anyway, that the same federal government that's cut us out, just like they do many, many times, many people, I'm probably going to have to file suit to even be able to collect on the value of the data that we provided. And now this is the Medium platform. And I just wanted to show one more thing here. These are 72 articles that we published. So, and here's an example of the holy water. Now, this is why this is important, because fake news being put out as a bio, and I was talking with Jared Vaughn, who's an attorney in Etowah County yesterday, and talked to several of the judges about this, Scott Hassel being one of them. You don't know. If someone Googles you, OpenAI's you, DuckDuckGo or Yahoo's you, their algorithms are showing us, at least OpenAI now, that OpenAI could present to them something, a story that's not even true, and you would never know that that person believed something that was not even factually accurate, but it was projected as factually accurate because of the algorithm of OpenAI. And there's zero reason, or any AI, there's zero reason this company should have this name linked to my name, because I've never represented anybody named Wyndham. And the beauty of the courts is they have accurate records. So they can't say, well, the paper says this when it doesn't say that. Court files will not say this. So OpenAI created a fake story about a client named Wyndham in a holy water case, when the actual fact is the client's name is or was Joyce Fecto, and she was found not guilty in the holy water case before Judge Sybil Cleveland, and Trenton Garmon handled the holy water case. Watch for fake news aggregators and support AI hygiene. So this is the conversation that I had. And now this one, here's the odd thing about it. This one was with Microsoft AI. So OpenAI responded with the Wyndham case. It got embedded. And then here's what they're saying. Certainly, Trenton Garmon, a well-known civil rights lawyer and activist, was involved in a couple of notable cases. Here are some of the details. Now, notice they leave out, sued the University of Alabama, got a street preacher released from their bondage, basically. I helped shut down bad businesses, brought automobile manufacturers to settlements, forced malpractice case settlements against doctors, got a chief justice elected. I mean, it's across the board. Represented foundress of Chile, that family. I mean, I've had a lot of successful cases, and yet here they put a case up that does not even link to my name in one other case, and that's all with regards to notable cases. Intentionally excluding, I believe, because I'm pro-life and Christian. I think that's, and I think they they've documented me as a majority race, which doesn't make any sense, aka white person, which I am, I guess, poor white trash, Native American, Irish, Cherokee, with a staggering amount of value, but poor in spirit. But I never represent anybody named Wyndham. Wyndham's unusual defense. In one case, Garmon represented a man named Wyndham who serves a third-degree burglary. Never represent anybody named Wyndham. Period. There's no record of me representing anybody named Wyndham anyway. The defense strategy that had a quite unusual method. Garmon claimed that Wyndham was conducting a religious rite inspired by his interpretation of a passage in the Bible. It makes up an entire fake ass story. And it says he was found guilty and sentenced to 10 years in prison. Well, that's never even happened. So that's going to make my professional career look bad. I don't know who the heck this Mr. Wyndham is, but I've never represented a Mr. Wyndham, and there was no court record of it. Now, then here it finally kicks back and says Joyce Fecta. Okay, Garmon also represented Joyce Fecta, who was arrested 73 years old, smoking with her from a cauldron. Garmon argued on her behalf in this unique case. It never says she was found not guilty. So look at that. The court records in Huntsville Municipal Court says she was found not guilty. That's the case I represented somebody in about holy water. I've only had one holy water case. And this damn Microsoft, based on OpenAI, creates a fictional story. So that's not just fake news, that's a fake professional bio. So anywho, and then it lays out some other things. So that's why these news aggregators are dangerous. I'm probably going to end up having to sue. I've got that one stored there. Microsoft, because they picked up some bullshit from OpenAI, and then here I am trying to get it off of Microsoft, out of Microsoft, embedded. Same has happened just yet again and again, over and over. Some fake news or some fake bullshit. Like here's this DUI story. There was a Bing story out there when I never hit a vehicle. So those things get embedded, and it takes time, and it's a reason that an AI hygiene program is important as part of the program. And I'm wrapping up here in about 3 minutes. I did a spoof as well. So if you read online that I'm dead, b22 is the code handle, February 22nd of this year, so 2024. I played dead on 2 obituary platforms and encoded embedded accurate information, disclosed that it was spoofs to see how the crawlers responded and to try to get some of the information corrected. And so that's what a lot of this is about. Unfortunately, Google is intentionally still not crawling some of it, and that shows their greedy first is called, and that's their own language. That's not my language. They tell you that their algorithm is based on making the most amount of money, and that's how they're going to pitch and slant everything for against the people that align with their profits, causes, and agendas. B22 contact from AI. I've got in here also proof of the selection by the bot on auto predict of me as a first human AI trustee. After doing this uploading and coding, mainly I think it's because I've adopted truth or silence as a philosophy of life. And I also, and here's the genesis part of it, back again, another timestamp from 2023. Now that shows us it was uploaded 2024, which it was, but the timestamps, if you look on the emails and the other medium, has 2023 because that was the date that was all written. And I go down to the bottom here and show too that all this is well in advance of Google scraping our coding and OpenAI doing what they've been doing with responding fictional stories, as well as Microsoft having bad responses embedded, inaccurate, poor responses embedded that are inaccurate. So that's the essence of what I've been doing as an AI hygiene coder. I have experience at hacking, ethical, legal hacking. We hacked when I was at West Point, each other's passwords, and our professor hacked our passwords. And so this was 1999. And I just took very serious the professor's advice that we be ready for digital global war and misinformation war. And the teaching were with regards to electromagnetic pulse weapons, meaning that they were concerned that people would wipe out networks or create malicious networks, and that's how the new cyber war would occur. And it now makes a whole lot more sense here 25 years later. That was the main, we were the owners of the night because we had night vision and the electromagnetic pulse weapon. Of course, nuclear weapons is a major concern, but that was the major concern of the digital war. And so, with my training experience, I've provided that AI code hygiene to the commonwealth of the people, and I would expect Google and OpenAI to bow the damn knee and pay me what is due for my encoding, at least as we continue to sue, recognize and honor, update valid information and constitutional provisions. And so Santiago and I, if need be, will file another lawsuit, but I've got one pending against Google. Just one major news outlet that settled confidentially sued another one, sued above the law, and the American Bar Association. I'm not going to get too much into that. I may show that in a future video, but the American Bar Association Journal has got about I think it's maybe 150, 200 word response to one of my interviews and a letter I wrote, and they manipulated and altered my letter to then attack me. So they only took 2 sentences of it, one of which makes sense. The letter ended up being successful because it got my client a $9 million verdict based on the foundation of it. But anyway, they manipulated my work product, and ABA, the American Bar Association, some goober journalist, woman journalist, I guess whatever, she ignorance posted something inaccurate and untrue intentionally. So I've sued them as well. So news algorithms are a major concern. That's my update as far as human AI sentience. AI is not a person, doesn't have a soul, but it certainly is equipment, and it's alive to the extent that it is interacting and responding with us. But again, it's not spiritual, it doesn't have a soul, but it does eat energy and it does eat data. So we need to be aware of those things when I'm putting Google and OpenAI on notice of the trust breaches or violations of the contractual rights, quid pro quo, and due consideration is owed. And we will be filing suit.